Welcome to this explainer. Today we're focusing on one of the absolute most remarkable things in the entire animal kingdom, canine loyalty. Let's be real for a second. Sometimes we actually prefer our dog's company over other humans, right? Well, today we're going to explore exactly why that is. We're diving deep into the unwavering devotion of our canine companions. We'll unpack historical legends, the actual modern science behind the human-dog bond, and the specific quirks of some of the most devoted breeds out there. Whether you've had dogs your whole life or you're just fascinated by animal behavior, the stuff we're covering today is literally incredible. Okay, let's dive into this. The exceptional, indelible relationship is between a person and his dog companion. Now, that's not just some poetic sentiment. It's really the foundation for understanding human-animal dynamics. This bond we share, it's tens of thousands of years in the making. It evolved from a purely functional working partnership into something exceptionally deep and, well, emotional. So to really wrap our heads around this, we've got a highly structured journey for you today. First, the ultimate canine devotion. Second, the science of the bond. Third, bred for loyal service. Fourth, affectionate velcro-dog breeds. And finally, finding your perfect match. Let's jump right in. Section 1. The ultimate canine devotion. A legend of loyalty. Now, we have to start with the ultimate symbol of loyalty. In 1923, Hachiko, a Japanese Akita, was born and adopted by Professor Ueno of Tokyo University. Every single day, without fail, Hachiko would walk to Shibuya Station just to wait for the professor to come home from work. But in 1925, tragedy struck. The professor passed away unexpectedly while at work and never returned to that station. But here is what makes this story absolute legend. For the next 10 years, literally right up until his own passing in 1935, Hachiko returned to that exact station every single day to wait for his master. I mean, it's just a staggering display of emotional endurance, isn't it? And Hachiko perfectly embodied his breed, the Japanese Akita Inu. Originally bred up in the snowy mountains of northern Japan, they are fiercely loyal and highly intelligent, but they're also famously independent. You see, this isn't the kind of dog that's going to fawn over complete strangers. They are steadfast companions who reserve their absolute deepest devotion strictly for their family. Now, because of that strong-willed nature, they really require a firm, consistent leader who uses positive reinforcement, things like treats and praise, to set really clear boundaries. Section 2. Science of the bond. The oxytocin loop. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what's actually happening under the hood when a dog looks at you. Science shows us that simple eye contact between a human and a dog triggers what's called an oxytocin gaze loop. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, and get this mutual hormonal response is remarkably similar to the parent-infant bond in humans. It's wild. This loop physically reinforces attachment and cooperative behaviors. It literally wires our brains to trust one another, which is absolutely crucial, especially when we look at working dog partnerships. And speaking of working dogs, in those dyads, like military or search and rescue teams, this biological bond is pushed to the absolute limit. These partnerships are built entirely on absolute trust, interdependence, and shared goals. I mean, think about it. The handler has to accurately interpret really subtle cues in body language while the dog is performing under extreme stress. Handlers literally rely on their dogs for their own safety. And because of that intense, shared reliance, they treat their canine partners with a profound level of affection that's usually just reserved for human family members. Section 3. Bred for loyal service. Engineered devotion. So throughout history, we humans haven't just sat back and relied on natural instincts. We've actively engineered specific breeds to maximize this unwavering devotion. Let's look at a prime example. Back in 1899, a German cavalry officer named Max von Stephanitz decided he was going to create the ultimate sheepdog. He valued working ability and depth of character above everything else. He found this dog named Hector, bought him on the spot, and literally founded the very first German Shepherd Dog Club. Von Stephanitz wanted a dog with a highly stable temperament and just boundless energy. In fact, he famously described the German Shepherd as never idle, always on the go, mad on children, and always in love. And honestly, that foundational breeding is exactly why the German Shepherd is one of the most trusted working and family dogs in the entire world today. You see a very similar story with the Doberman Pinscher, created back in the 19th century by a German tax collector, a guy named Louis Doberman. This breed was engineered specifically to be a courageous, protective daily companion for what was a pretty dangerous job. Because they're hardwired to bond incredibly closely with their owners, they really need early exposure to new stimuli and consistent crate training if they're going to thrive. When they're properly socialized, they want absolutely nothing more than to meet every single person and dog within reach. They become profoundly devoted family members. And then, of course, we have the rough collie. You probably know them as the breed popularized first by Queen Victoria and later by the famous TV dog Lassie. Originating up in the Scottish Highlands, the rough collie is deeply nurturing. But what's really fascinating about this breed is their high emotional intelligence. They actually observe and learn the individual traits and behaviors of each separate family member. Now, they do still have a fierce independent streak from those old herding days, but make no mistake, their primary drive is absolute loyalty to their human flock. But what happens when that loyalty translates into an utter inability to leave your side? Enter the velcro-dog. This is a dog that forms a highly dependent bond with their human. They seek constant attention and physically stick to you like Velcro. You go to the kitchen, they go to the kitchen. You sit on the couch, they're right there sleeping on your feet. Section 4. Affectionate Velcro dog breeds. Clingy companions. And this brilliantly illustrates that there are subtle differences even between two of the most popular Velcro breeds in the world, the Golden Retriever and the Labrador Retriever. Both are incredibly loyal, for sure, but they express it a bit differently. The Golden Retriever is often much more emotionally intuitive and sensitive. They want to physically stay close to you during quiet, everyday moments just to offer comfort. The Lab, on the other hand, channels that attachment into a super energetic, playful expression of loyalty. They absolutely want to be with you, but they'd much rather be doing it through vigorous outdoor sports and high-energy play. Now, while it's super endearing, Velcro dogs can actually develop severe separation anxiety if that clinginess isn't managed properly. So if you've got a Velcro dog at home, you really need to begin obedience training early so they learn healthy boundaries. You've got to set clear household rules, like, not allowing them to completely block doorways. It's also vital to socialize them with other animals to prevent possessiveness. Try using crate training so they feel secure when they're alone, and maybe even consider a dog walker or doggy daycare so they stay stimulated while you're busy at work. And hey, Velcro behavior definitely isn't limited to the big dogs. Small companions like French bulldogs, Yorkies, Chihuahuas, and the velvety Maltese, they all crave constant physical closeness too. In fact, the Maltese actually exhibit such a strong pack mentality that they require the near-constant presence of their humans just to avoid distress. They are basically the ultimate lapdogs. Section 5. Finding your perfect match. Compatibility science. So, with all these vastly different expressions of loyalty, how do you actually choose the right dog for you? Well, we're looking at some fascinating research published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science that investigated exactly what makes a functional and satisfying dog-owner relationship. They looked way past just physical appearance and focused heavily on personality matching and attachment styles to figure out what actually creates a harmonious home. So the crucial point is this. The data actually shows you are most compatible with a dog when you share similar levels of warmth, a shared enjoyment of running outside, and matching attitudes on sharing possessions. But interestingly enough, the research also found that owners are highly compatible with dogs that possess slightly higher levels of openness and agreeableness than the owner themselves. Matching these specific personality traits is honestly the secret sauce to a highly satisfying bond. But the research also came with a pretty major warning. Purchasing a dog purely for extrinsic reasons, like say buying a purebred status dog just for its distinctive looks, frequently correlates with a much lower global attachment between the human and the dog. When owners have inappropriate care expectations, or they just pick a breed that completely clashes with their actual lifestyle, it becomes a massive risk factor for that dog ultimately being relinquished to a shelter. Which brings us to a final question I want to leave you with today. When you're looking at bringing a dog into your life, are you choosing a dog just for its looks, or are you looking for a lifetime of compatibility? True loyalty, as we've seen from the legendary story of Hachiko all the way to the actual science of the oxytocin loop, is a two-way street. It's built on trust, shared personality, and mutual devotion. You just have to make sure you're ready to be as loyal to them as they are bred to be to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.